Have you ever looked at your life and thought, why am I still hurting? You have a roof over your head. People around you say you're doing fine. But inside, it feels like something is tearing at your chest. A weight you can't name, a pain you can't explain. You've tried everything. Meditation, distraction, talking it out, faking the smile, but nothing changes. The ache stays. Carl Jung said, what you do not bring to consciousness appears in your life as fate. And that's what no one tells you. You are not suffering because of what's happening outside. You are suffering because of what's been buried inside. Somewhere along the way, you abandoned parts of yourself. The real you got silenced, covered up, forgotten. And now that forgotten self, it's screaming through anxiety, depression, rage. It's crying for your attention, not to punish you but to wake you up, because suffering isn't the problem. It's the signal. You've been taught that suffering means something is broken, but Jung knew better. Pain isn't dysfunction, it's data. It's your soul's last defense, saying, stop, you're not okay. Not because you're weak, but because you're living disconnected from your truth, from your needs, from yourself. And when you try to ignore it, when you suppress it, distract from it, hide behind fake positivity, it doesn't go away. It waits, it follows, it grows. Why? Because the human psyche isn't built to lie forever. The moment you abandon what you really feel, who you really are, what you truly need, your unconscious notices. It begins to protest. First softly, then loudly. You feel it in your body. That tight chest before a fake smile. That sudden anger when someone disrespects you and you say nothing. That hollow feeling when everyone says, congratulations, but you feel numb inside. You're not broken. You're not cursed. You're not doomed. You're misaligned. You're living someone else's script. You're trying to be liked, be good, be successful on someone else's terms. And that disconnection, that's the birthplace of suffering. Carl Jung didn't write for comfort. He didn't offer quick fixes or easy answers. He gave us something far more powerful, a path back to ourselves. But here's the deal. That path, it starts in the dark. This video won't give you 10 easy steps. It won't promise you a perfect life, but it will show you the truth. The only way to stop suffering is to understand it. Because if you don't, you'll keep treating symptoms. You'll keep blaming others. You'll keep running from a pain that was never here to harm you, only to help you heal. So the question is, will you keep avoiding it, or will you turn toward it? Carl Jung believed that real transformation only begins when we dare to look at what we've buried. Not to judge it, not to destroy it, but to bring it home. And when you do, you don't just stop suffering, you start living. Let's begin. You weren't born disconnected, you were born whole. But wholeness is a dangerous thing in a world that rewards obedience. So what did you do? You started trimming the parts of yourself that didn't fit. You hid your anger, buried your confusion, softened your voice. You became what others needed. You played the role. You smiled on cue. But something inside you kept the receipts. Carl Jung said, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And most people never do. Because the truth is, you weren't taught to accept yourself. You were taught to fix yourself, to improve, to compete, to be more likable, more productive, more agreeable, less emotional, less reactive, less you. But healing doesn't begin with becoming something new. It begins with realizing you've been living a lie. Every time you said yes when you meant no, you chipped away at yourself. Every time you faked a laugh, swallowed your truth, walked on eggshells just to keep the peace, you weren't being mature, you were disappearing. And now here you are, anxious, drained, lost. Not because life is cruel, but because you've been acting like someone else for so long, you forgot how to be you. Jung called this the persona, the mask you wear to survive. It's not evil, it's not fake, it's just incomplete. The problem? You started believing the mask was you. And worse, you started building a life around it. That job you hate, chosen by the mask. That relationship that leaves you empty, held together by the mask. That version of success that exhausts you, fueled by the mask. And the deeper you go, the louder the suffering becomes. Not to punish you, but to get your attention. Because your soul doesn't care about appearances, it cares about truth. You can't heal until you stop pretending. And pretending is exactly what most people call being fine. But fine is killing you slowly. Fine is a trap. So what happens if you stop? If you strip off the mask and say, I'm angry, I'm confused, I don't know who I am anymore. It's terrifying, it feels like falling, but it's not the end, it's the beginning. Jung taught that every breakdown is a breakthrough in disguise, that the self doesn't emerge until the persona begins to crack. That's why suffering feels like falling apart. Because it is. And that's necessary. To become whole, you must first become honest. No more acting. No more spiritual bypassing. No more pretending pain is progress. It's not. Pain is pain, and it's trying to teach you something. So let it. Let it show you the places you've abandoned. Let it reveal the roles you've outgrown. Let it burn through the lies you've been living. Because beneath all of it, the mask, the shame, the fear, is something real. And if you keep hiding from it, you'll keep hurting. You are not your persona. You are not your trauma. You are not the roles others assigned you. You are what's left when the noise stops. But to find that, you'll have to risk everything you built on being who you're not. That's not weakness, that's courage. And it's the first real step toward becoming free. Because the truth doesn't hurt nearly as much as living a lie. And once you see the lie, you can't unsee it. You either keep playing it safe, or you start playing it real. Which one will it be? You think you're suffering because life is unfair, because people hurt you, because you're unlucky. But Carl Jung would tell you no. You suffer because you're afraid to meet the one person you've avoided your whole life, yourself. Not the polished, presentable version. Not the mask you wear at work or around friends. But the shadow. The shadow is everything you reject, deny, and bury. The part of you that's angry, jealous, selfish, vengeful. The part you don't post online. The part you pretend doesn't exist. But it does. And the more you ignore it, the more it owns you. You lash out of nowhere. You sabotage opportunities. You push away people who care. You choose partners who reflect your worst wounds. And you wonder why you keep repeating the same cycles. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You're not cursed. You're just unconscious, and your shadow is running the show. Here's the hard truth. You cannot heal what you're not willing to face. You cannot integrate what you're too ashamed to admit. You cannot grow while you're hiding from your own darkness. The shadow isn't evil, it's wounded. It's the child who was told, stop crying. The teenager who was mocked for being different. The adult who had to smile while breaking inside. Your shadow is the accumulation of every time you were told, you're too much. You're not enough. Don't be like that. Be normal. So you buried it, and now it screams. Through anxiety, through guilt, through rage, through sadness that doesn't go away. But this isn't a curse. It's a call. Your pain isn't the enemy. Your avoidance is. The more you resist the shadow, the more power it takes. You see it in people who can't stop lying, even when the truth is safe. In those who destroy what they love because love feels unfamiliar. In people who chase chaos because peace feels boring. The shadow twists your perception. It dresses your deepest wounds in disguises. So you keep chasing what hurts and rejecting what heals. And here's what makes it worse. You believe the shadow makes you unlovable, but in truth, it makes you human. Everyone has one. Even the kindest people. Even the strongest. Especially the strongest. Because strength isn't the absence of darkness, it's the ability to hold it without being consumed by it. Jung didn't tell us to destroy the shadow. He taught us to integrate it, to recognize that what you've disowned might be your greatest power, once it's understood. Your anger? It's a boundary that wasn't allowed to exist. Your jealousy? A buried desire for freedom, expression, love. Your rage? A voice that was silenced for too long. Once you bring these into the light, they stop controlling you. They become guides instead of saboteurs. That's the point of shadow work. Not to become perfect, but to become whole. And wholeness doesn't mean you're always calm. It means your darkness no longer scares you. You've met it. You've named it, and now it's part of you, not your master. This is the work most people never do, because it's easier to blame, to stay busy, to play the victim, to stay safe behind the mask. But you didn't come this far to live safe. You came to live real. And if you're ready to do that, then it starts here. Stop running. Stop hiding. Start owning it, all of it. Because when you face your shadow, you take back your power. Not by pretending the darkness isn't there, but by becoming the only person in the room who isn't afraid of it. Most people run from pain. They medicate it, numb it, scroll past it, pray it goes away. But Jung didn't see pain as an enemy. He saw it as a guide, a teacher, a brutal but necessary messenger. There is no coming to consciousness without pain, Jung said. And once you understand that, everything changes. Because pain isn't random. It's not here to punish you. It's here to wake you up. Every time you feel that ache in your chest when you're with the wrong person, that burnout after saying yes when you meant no, that quiet sadness that shows up when everything looks perfect on the outside, that's pain trying to get your attention. You keep trying to fix the surface, your habits, your schedule, your diet, but pain doesn't live on the surface. It lives in the disconnect between who you are and who you pretend to be. And as long as that gap exists, pain will keep ringing the alarm. You think the goal is to get rid of pain, but pain isn't the problem. Avoiding it is. It's like a fire alarm going off, and instead of putting out the fire, you just muffle the sound. That's what numbing does. That's what denial does. That's what distraction does. But the fire still burns, and sooner or later, it consumes everything. So Jung asked, what if instead of silencing pain, you listen to it? Not with fear, not with resistance, but with curiosity. Ask it, what are you trying to tell me? Where am I out of alignment? What truth have I been afraid to see? And slowly, painfully, it begins to speak. Pain tells you what needs healing. It tells you where the wound is. It reveals the beliefs you've carried for too long. I'm not enough. I have to earn love. If I speak up, I'll be abandoned. You didn't choose those beliefs, but you live by them. And that's what the pain is trying to correct. It's not here to ruin your life. It's here to rebuild it, from the inside out. But you have to stop treating pain like a flaw. Pain is a portal, a threshold, the doorway between the self you've outgrown and the self you're meant to become. If you can stop running, just long enough to feel it, you'll see the pain has shape. It has memory. It has purpose. It brings you back to the moment you disconnected from yourself, and it asks, are you ready to return? Because when you finally stop fighting pain, when you let it sit next to you without trying to push it away, something shifts. It becomes softer, more honest, more human. And eventually, it transforms, not into comfort, but into clarity. That's the alchemy Jung was pointing to. You don't heal by escaping pain. You heal by walking through it, by letting it teach you, by letting it break the lies you've lived with for years. And when the pain finally passes, not because you buried it, but because you faced it, you'll realize it didn't destroy you. It delivered you. It led you home. So the next time pain knocks, don't slam the door. Don't distract yourself. Don't reach for comfort. Ask it, what do you want me to see? And listen. Because your healing doesn't start when the pain ends. It starts the moment you stop running from it. There's a moment, after all the running, all the fighting, all the numbing, when something finally breaks. Not you, the illusion. The illusion that you had to be perfect, that you had to hide parts of yourself to be loved, that your emotions made you weak, that healing meant becoming someone else. Carl Jung shattered that illusion with one core truth. I'd rather be whole than good. Because being good, in the eyes of others, in the eyes of society, often means being incomplete. It means silencing your anger, denying your desire, rejecting your sadness. It means becoming a mask. But wholeness is messy. It's raw. It's honest. It's accepting that you are all of it, the light and the dark, the calm and the chaos. This is the path Jung called individuation, the process of becoming your full, integrated self. It's not a straight line, it's a spiral, and it demands everything from you. Because healing isn't about finding the light. It's about embracing the darkness you've tried so hard to bury. Your shadow, your wounds, your contradictions. The things you were told made you unlovable. Those are the exact things you need to reclaim to become whole. You were never broken, you were just divided. You weren't allowed to be fully you, so you split yourself into pieces. Polite on the outside, exploding on the inside, smiling in public, crying in private. But the real healing begins when you stop picking and choosing which parts of yourself deserve love. When you stop trying to fix yourself and start listening to yourself. When you look in the mirror and say, I am tired of pretending. I am ready to be me. Wholeness doesn't mean perfection. It means integration. It means your anger isn't your enemy. It's your compass. Your sadness isn't shameful. It's your soul asking to be held. Your mistakes aren't flaws. They're feedback. And once you embrace this, something powerful happens. You stop performing. You no longer need to prove yourself. You no longer need to be understood. You no longer mold yourself to fit into spaces that shrink you. You become real, and the world can feel it. People may not know what changed, but they'll feel your gravity, because nothing is more magnetic than a person who has stopped hiding. That's why Jung didn't promise comfort, he promised transformation. He didn't say healing would be easy. He said it would be worth it, because when you become whole, you stop looking for others to complete you. You stop needing external validation to feel worthy. You stop chasing healing like it's some final destination. You realize you were never meant to be anything other than yourself. And that in itself is enough. So what does this look like, practically? It looks like slowing down. It looks like sitting with discomfort instead of distracting from it. It looks like journaling the thoughts that scare you. It looks like crying when you need to, without apology. It looks like saying no to protect your peace. It looks like finally saying yes to yourself. And it's not loud. It's not dramatic. It's quiet, deliberate, sacred. Because true healing doesn't shout, it whispers. And if you listen closely, you'll hear what it's been saying all along. You are not too much. You are not broken. You are not beyond repair. You are just unfinished. And that's okay. Jung believed the soul doesn't want perfection. It wants truth. It wants presence. It wants to be lived, not controlled, not silenced, not judged. So let this be your turning point. Not because you read the right quote, not because you watched the right video, but because you finally decided, I am ready to come home to myself. That's what becoming whole really means. Not adding more, but removing what was never you to begin with. And when you do that, the suffering doesn't disappear. It transforms. You've made it this far. You've stared into the dark. You've felt the weight of your shadow. You've walked the storm, scarred but conscious. Now comes the question most people never ask. What now? Because healing isn't the end. It's the beginning. You didn't fight through the pain just to return to the same life that broke you. You didn't reclaim yourself just to stay silent and unseen. Carl Jung believed that individuation, becoming whole, wasn't just for your benefit. It was a responsibility, a calling. Once you've healed, your task is clear. Transform what hurt you into what helps others. Because when your pain evolves into wisdom, you become something rare. Not just a survivor, not just a seeker, but a guide. This isn't about becoming a guru or a therapist. It's about how you show up, how your presence becomes medicine, how your authenticity becomes a mirror for others. Jung said, The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But that privilege comes with a cost. Now that you see clearly, you can't unsee. You can't pretend you're powerless. You can't shrink to fit the roles you've outgrown. So what do you do with this truth? You live it. Every day. You speak when it matters. You stay silent when it doesn't. You stop rescuing people who refuse to rescue themselves. You stop dimming your light to keep others comfortable. You set boundaries. You protect your peace. And most of all, you lead by example. Because the world doesn't need more lectures. It needs more people who've looked their darkness in the face and didn't flinch. People who no longer react from wounds but respond from wisdom. People who've turned their suffering into insight and their insight into presence. That's what your healing was for. Not just to feel better, but to become better. So others can feel what's possible. So someone else can feel seen because of your story. So silence becomes a sanctuary, not a prison. This is legacy, not the kind that leaves a name on buildings, but the kind that shifts a soul. Quietly, powerfully, you've become the person you once needed. Now be that for others. Show your scars without shame. Speak your truth with compassion. Move through life with the calm of someone who's already been to hell and came back carrying light. But know this, you will still fall, still feel, still get triggered. Healing is not immunity, it's awareness. And awareness gives you choice, to pause, to reset, to lead with intention, not habit. Jung didn't promise an easy life. He promised a real one. A life lived on your terms, with eyes wide open, with a heart that's broken and beautiful, with a soul that's no longer fragmented, but whole. So don't waste this awakening. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Don't betray yourself to be accepted. Don't forget the fire you walked through just to stand here. You are no longer asleep, and now the world needs you awake, to speak when silence harms, to act when fear paralyzes, to shine, not to be seen, but to show the way. Because someone, somewhere, is suffering in the way you once did, and your presence might just be the thing that reminds them, you're not alone, you're not broken, and you can come home to yourself. That's not philosophy. That's power, not the kind that controls, but the kind that liberates. So take this truth, hold it like a torch, and light the path forward, not just for you, but for everyone still stuck in the dark. If this video stirred something in you, if it brought you closer to understanding yourself, your pain, or your power, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video to show your support. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Comment below with the part that hit you hardest. Your words might help someone else take their first step. And if you want more content that doesn't just motivate but transforms, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. We're building something deeper here. Something honest. And this is just the beginning. Subscribe now and don't miss what's coming next.